Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, it is the first day of my 4-day weekend, and since I've been looking at the weather, we are kind of at the end of March right now, and the weather looks like for the foreseeable future it's only going to be getting warmer and warmer. And since we are into the spring now, I've decided that today we are going to start my garden. So I'm going to take all those tomato seedlings, all the jalapeno seedlings, and those habanero pepper plants that I bought last weekend when I got the blue bonnets, and we're going to put those in the ground and we're going to get those going. So that's the job for today. Now, I've already moved all that stuff out, and it's over in the garden right now. And one of the first things I got to do is go get some tomato spikes so that I can support the weight of the tomatoes. Because otherwise the tomatoes end up forming on the ground. If they form on the ground, they rot, and then they're no good to eat. So let's go to Home Depot. Look who's here to watch. Oh, and for those of you who are curious, the plants in here are doing very well. And in fact, one of the blue bonnets is already starting to bloom a little bit. So this is going to be a very, very colorful place very soon, hopefully. And there's another plant right there. It looks like it's getting ready to bloom a little bit. And here's another one. So yeah, I think this stuff's going to work out. We'll see. So this planter on the right here is going to be the one for the peppers. And I've got the habanero peppers right here. And that's basically where they're going to be. And then these are going to be the jalapeno peppers. And they'll kind of fill in the rest of the area. The guides say that they should be about a foot apart, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give them a little bit of spikes to hold them up while they're in their kind of formative years. It gets a little windy out here, and I don't want the wind to be pummeling these, but those things are looking really healthy, aren't they? And then the tomatoes are going to be over here. I've just kind of got them sitting kind of just randomly in the area right now, but like I said, they need spikes because they're more of an ivy kind of thing, and they need to be lifted up, otherwise they'll be destroyed. I don't know if these will do well. You know, sometimes these seed, these ones that you grow on your own, sometimes, if you aren't exactly perfect in growing them, they don't start off healthy. But we're going to see what happens, and if they don't, we'll just go buy some startup tomatoes and we'll start over again. Now, I made one mistake on these. As you recall, there's two different varieties of tomatoes. There's little tiny tomatoes that are about the size of grapes, and there are giant beefsteak tomatoes. And unfortunately, I kind of didn't do a good job keeping them separate. So they're gonna be kind of mixed in together. I don't know which ones are which, so they're not going to be separated very well. But once again, they'll be separated each by about a foot, and we'll just have to figure out what they are when they grow. So like I said, I got to go to Home Depot, get some stakes for these, and I'm going to get some just little bamboo stakes for, I think, the jalapenos, just to kind of protect them. And then we'll come back and put these in the ground. Alright, so I'm back from Home Depot. They had a couple of options for tomato spikes. They had the traditional tomato baskets, but I think those are more kind of designed for if you're growing tomatoes in a pot. Since these are going to be in the ground, I kind of elected to go with these kind of colorful spikes. I think they're gonna do just as good of a job, and I think they'll look kind of nice. And I'll add some color out here. So first thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the spikes in first, and then we'll kind of plant the plants around them. Alright, so I got the tomatoes in. I might have killed a couple of them. They kind of got a little shocked a little bit going into the ground here, and there was actually one I actually pulled the leaves off of. So we're gonna let them go here. I've given them a nice little drink, and we're gonna let them soak for a little bit, get a little sun, and then we'll give them a little bit more drink, and we'll see what happens. But I think we'll get at least a few of these, because this one here looks all right. Some of the ones in the back there look okay. They may just bounce back a little bit. They may have just been a little dehydrated and needed a drink. So we're going to give it a little time here and keep them moist, and we'll see where we go from here. Let's put the jalapenos in. Alright, I got everything in. I gotta admit that the tomatoes look a little rough. I don't know, they may not make it. Some of them might be okay, but they're definitely experiencing some shock. So we're going to keep them moist for the next 24, 48 hours to see what happens. And if I lose them, I lose them. I'll just have to replace them with live plants. It happens. You know, sometimes these maybe weren't ready to go into the ground yet, and it happens. You lose them. But it's also kind of a warm day, and maybe it was a little too warm for them. But let's see if they bounce back tonight, and we'll go from there. On the other hand, the chili peppers look really good. They look really healthy. I've given them a good drink too, and the habaneros are right here, and the jalapenos are here, and we are going to have a nice harvest on that. So good news on that. I actually had a few more plants than I thought. So you know, I'd originally planned to do 3 rows of jalapenos, but I still had a few left, jalapenos. I had a few left over, so I put a 4th row here, and then we had just a couple of little things that had just basically popped up out of the ground here, and I put one here too, and we'll just see what happens with those. But you know, definitely these are looking good, and they are going to be ready to go in a few months. So that's what I've got going there. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep this moist over the next few days or so and see what happens. I'm not going to use the sprinklers initially. I'm going to just kind of do it with a hose, because while the plants are kind of small and weak, I don't want to be spraying them with the sprinkler heads yet. So I'll just get out here with a hose and the mister or the soaker head, and keep everything nice and moist over the next few days, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so while I was over at Home Depot, I also kind of saw these things. These things are kind of cute, and they add a little bit to the yard. It's just a little splash of color. I thought they were kind of neat. So I got a couple of these and put them in the planter around the bluebonnets and the daisies and all that stuff. So, like I said, just little things to decorate the yard. I always like little knick-knacky things for the yard, and I think these were kind of cute. So, there you go. Yeah, a couple weeks ago I would have written these off for dead, but they're definitely bouncing back. Now this is interesting. This is actually in the front of the house. This is in the area where they tunneled under the house when they replaced that sewer line for me. And they had to rip a couple plants out of here in the front. And I replaced it with these Texas lilacs. And if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have said these died almost immediately and were done. But they're even coming back now, so that's kind of cool. I wouldn't have seen that coming. I figured these are going to have to be replaced, but yeah, maybe this is just one of those plants that drops its leaves in the winter and then bounces back again. It might have even died or died off as a result of being planted initially, but obviously the center of it stayed alive, and it even survived the ice storm. So good job, Texas lilac. It looks like we'll get you back still. And still a little too early to tell if the rosemary is going to come back, but there is some green on it, so I don't know. We'll give this a little chance too. Who knows? Maybe the plants here are more resilient than I originally thought. And I think I showed you this tree probably last week, and it only had like just the beginnings of some buds on it, but look at all that's happened in the last week. I guess I noticed that too on my maple tree that I had in my house in California. It was kind of the same way. It would go from almost nothing to like this level of foliage in just literally a matter of a week or two. And it's amazing how quickly these trees bounce back after the winter. And of course the weeds always do well in Texas. So I think that's all that I have for today. I hope you enjoyed that video, and will come back and see me next time. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.